portazo. Oh, shit. Oh, Ray. Oh my God.
When I look out here across the opening to the Strait of Hormuz, especially at nighttime when they have their lights on, I see dozens of ships waiting for what they hope would be a safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz. There might be over 100 ships waiting here, and on the other side, inside the Persian Gulf, hundreds of ships are waiting to somehow make their way through what has become a very perilous passage through the Strait of Hormuz. All of this brought about by Iranian threats that they would attack any ship that is in any way affiliated with the United States or Israel or any of its allies. But maritime and trade data platforms do show that some ships get through. 89 ships altogether since the start of the war have got through the Strait of Hormuz. And this data also shows that Iran is still exporting millions of barrels of oil. So who does get through? Well, first of all, out of those 89 ships, 1/5 are affiliated with Iran. There are also ships that are affiliated with India and Pakistan that have managed to make their way during wartime through the Strait of Hormuz. And other ships have been heading to China. But essentially, the situation that all of these ships are facing is that Iran right now is deciding who gets through the Strait of Hormuz safely and who gets threatened with possible attacks.
In my view, we need to design new arrangements for the Strait of Hormuz and the way ships pass through it in the future, after the war, so that peaceful navigation through this waterway can be permanently maintained under clear regulations with consideration for Iran's interests and the interests of the region. I believe that after the war, the first step should be drafting a new protocol for the Strait of Hormuz. Naturally, this should be done between the countries that lie on both sides of the strait, as they are the principal parties in this matter, and it should guarantee that safe passage through the strait takes place under specific conditions. From our perspective, this is a waterway located next to Iran. Naturally, we will not allow our enemies to use this waterway. At the same time, a war is taking place around it, and naturally, many ships and countries may not want to use this route due to insecurity. Some countries contact us to discuss safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz, and we try to provide them with the conditions for such passage. It is natural that we have not limited ourselves only to their formal military bases. Wherever there has been a concentration of Americans, wherever they have had facilities belonging to them, those places have been targeted. Some of these may have been close to urban areas. This is not our fault. It is the United States' behavior that has brought the region to this point. I accept that our friendly countries are upset and that the people of the region have been harmed. That is why Dr. Pezeshkian apologized to the people of the region, because as a result of U.S. aggression against us and our response and retaliation, they may have been affected. But all of this is America's fault.
This is one of the ships, the kind of ship that has been targeted since the war broke out in Iran. This ship itself, it's a liquefied petroleum gas tanker, was in the Gulf just days before the war broke out. It made it out safely. It's worth tens of millions of dollars without its cargo. It's more than the length of a football field, right? About 150 meters long. And the Iranian government has targeted more than a dozen ships like this. We've seen tankers burning off the coast of Iraq that Iran claimed to have hit with submarine vehicles. There was a cargo ship from Thailand that was hit trying to transit the Strait of Hormuz a week ago, and 3 of its crew members are still missing. And when you get up close to one of these ships, it helps illustrate how vulnerable they are to things like drones, like missiles, like speedboats, all the types of asymmetric weapons that Iran has that can target ships like this. And this is why the Strait of Hormuz is effectively closed right now, and why you can't get oil from the Gulf, which supplies 20% of the world's oil, can't get it out right now. Iran has made it clear it will target shipping. In fact, I'm going to quote the Speaker of the Iranian Parliament on X saying, quote, "The Strait of Hormuz situation won't return to its pre-war status." Those threats are very real right now. The Trump administration wants to reopen the strait to allow ships like this to move again. Before the war, about 140 ships like this would pass through the strait both directions every day. Now it's just a handful. And I'm just going to pan over here so you get a look at some of the other types of ships that typically come to a place like Hong Kong. This is the lifeblood of the global economy, Alex. This is where we get our fuel, our container, the stuff that goes to IKEA, flour, rice, whatever. And when these ships stop moving, we all feel it in our wallets and in our pocketbooks. There are hundreds of ships stranded on both sides of the Strait of Hormuz right now. The Trump administration is calling for countries to help reopen the strait. He's asked for China, Japan, South Korea, NATO member countries. So far, nobody is volunteering to help. In fact, what we've seen is the opposite. Some countries are clearly trying to negotiate side deals with the Islamic Republic of Iran. In the last week, we've seen tankers safely transit the Strait of Hormuz to India and to Pakistan. And just 2 days ago, a Hong Kong ship actually went into the Gulf through the strait. The Iranian government says it is negotiating with at least 8 countries right now to allow safe passage of tankers carrying energy out, provided that the oil is paid for with Chinese currency. We don't know if that's going to succeed yet, but there has been some movement. What's clear is that Iran is trying to impose conditions for this vital shipping through the Strait of Hormuz right now and threatening ships like this if they don't comply with Iran's demands. And so far, the U.S. has been unable to fix this problem.
Right now it's crazy again. Just to fill out my truck, it takes me like $800 to put 200 gallons.
It costs over $120 a tank. I'm actually looking to sell it because it costs too much in fuel. And I just bought a car that's good on gas.
So your grocery bill, farmers use diesel out in the fields. Construction equipment consumes diesel. Diesel is really the fuel that powers the economy. So diesel prices above $5 a gallon now in 22 states. And that number is surely set to grow here.
Right now with the diesel prices, what I get for me in clean is almost the same thing that I spend on diesel, like almost $3,000 a week.
Wow.
Yeah. So what I get is almost the same thing that I spend on diesel. After everything passes with the war and everything, I really hope they go back at least to like 3 something.
播报新闻是我的日常，必须时刻保持妆容和皮肤的最佳状态。当来到人生中最重要的时刻，也是 KS 逆时奇迹帮助我轻松驾驭，闪闪发光。KS 逆时奇迹活肤露全效精华、精华霜，多达5种 EGF 6大冻龄关键成分，保湿效果让我非常满意，小细纹也不再困扰我。我就是我自己的最佳女主角 ，KS 让我从容自信，光彩动人。我是我人生中的大女主，我的最爱我做主。KS 逆时奇迹系列热卖中，下单请上快点购，透过中天新闻网 App 下单立减50，或输入 CTI 推荐码有额外折扣。